All right, everybody, welcome back to Hot Lappin' with Landman. And what we're doing here today is we just got done recording the show with Chad Clements, Barry Jackson, and Donny Schatz announcing their partnership for the 2026 season with the World of Outlaws. What I did is I got together with Don afterwards and we talked about a lot of stuff that's happened over the last 4 or 5 months over his career and some of the other things that Don has going on in his life. So going to keep it short and sweet here. Just wanted to let everybody know what we're talking about today. With all that in mind, let's not wait around any longer. Let's get Donnie in here and visit a little bit and see what's on his mind. All right. So, Don, some pretty exciting news that we were able to put out here a little bit ago. And, you joining forces with CJB, Chad and Barry and those guys. And just real quick to touch on that one last time, some pretty exciting news for you. A good way to start off the holiday season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that, it's Chad and Barry and I had a conversation at the end of the 2025 season about maybe doing the last 15 races in preparation for this. And it's just going to take away from their trying to finish out their high limit season. So we just didn't get it all put together and didn't really think it would be an option for going forward. But obviously we've got it all put together. There's a lot of work to be done now. Obviously the hard part is sometimes getting these things in place. We have people in place, but there's a few pieces that are hard to come by, and there's a lot of things that I'm a loyalist to. So we're working on getting the stuff so we can build a new team. Obviously, got a brand new trailer on order with Featherlight. Have had for some time. So we're working through that. They've had plenty of equipment on hand to get things started, and obviously we'll build as we go. So looking forward to it.
I want to just go back there where you said, last year they gave you that opportunity and you had, let's just say it was a stressful time. You had a commitment and you've always been very loyal to when you say something, you're going to do it. To the World of Outlaws finishing out the year last year. And the stress level that probably came with that, even though you played it off real good, you had some great people that stepped up to help you get through the year and tell us, just a little bit. And looking back on that now, how you thought that maybe helped you grow as a person, along with realizing the amount of people that are willing to come to bat for you.
Yeah, it was really crazy. Obviously it's a shock in a sense, but yet it's not. I mean, it's something that needed to happen. There was probably a more professional way of doing it that way, finishing out the season. But literally, when there's a zero communication amongst driver, crew, car, I guess you got to expect it to go that route. So, um, when it first happened, it just was kind of a shock to me. We're ganging up to go home for 7 races: Minnesota, Wisconsin, North Dakota, to all the places I cut my teeth. And it was kind of like right after the Nationals, and apparently it was planned for a couple weeks. And I'm like, well, if you're going to do something, you don't do it. It's kind of like back in the day. I had a guy working on my race car, and he lied to me about what was going on, and I'm like, I'm not so sure I want you tightening the wheels on my race car if you're going to be lying about stuff. And lo and behold, it just happened to be the guy that was working on the car that I was driving when I got fired. So funny how it all works out in the end. But anyway, um, a lot of great people. You know, Brad Alexander is someone that I got to race with back in the day at TSR, and him and Steven Hamriley, who I'd never got to work with before. When they put the stuff together with Todd and Cody and Taylor and all the big game guys to try to do the 7 race swing, that was they brought them guys in to do it because they know it takes people, and it takes good people. And so Brad and I always had a great relationship, and we still communicate to this day. In fact, I got a text from him in about 6 seconds. So we got to rejoin with some people, and they stand behind you whether there's good or bad. And that's the nice thing about racing, is there's always these uh people to do that. And obviously things went sideways night one with that whole situation, but those guys went with me and helped me finish up with Dave Lunstra. And um but to be honest with you, Lan, the way it was for me as a person, I literally was in survival mode. My goal was to get to the end of the season, but mind you, you're talking a quarter of the season was there. So You go from having 7 race situation to after the first night, you're looking at trying to just get to the end of them 7 races, and then Sam at JVI, who's been a partner with Paul Silva and Kevin and those guys and Kyle, got me the opportunity to drive the W car on the West Coast, and I think Sam was pushing them to try to do the end of the year, but it was never something that was realistic or could happen. And in that meantime, Sam and Jason put the thing together because they knew my wishes were to not try to um, jump around from a bunch of different things. A good way to get hurt, a good way to, but the ultimate goal was to get there. So, and yourself, you were one that, you and I've been friends a long time. And I can't even imagine the miles you chased back and forth to Sioux Falls to try to help to do this, to do that. And so appreciate you for that. But there's so many people that it's hard to kind of put into words. I can tell you, it's Christmas season, and I'm a pretty spirited Christmas person. So now that all the Christmas gifts are going out and the things that send some Pride in North Dakota stuff, that'll be coming in the mail here soon to a lot of those people. Will it's kind of neat to see. So, but in a nutshell, I literally I thought I was in got the survival mode right away, but literally after I crashed that first night, I literally I went into survival mode, almost like underground, and it didn't just kind of is like a beat down, and it's reality. It happens. I'd never found myself in that position before, so it was new to me. It was new emotions. It was new things to try to handle, but I guess I don't know that I'd say that I didn't wear it well, but um, I can tell you that the sense of getting to the banquet, even though it was a sixth place finish, that's where we were when we started, and it looked like at one point we were probably going to lose that spot. Um, it is what it is. We got there. We finished things off the way that needed to be done, and grateful for Jason Sides, who I don't even know how to describe him. Jason can't afford to do what he did, and Sam owed me nothing. Nobody owed me anything to do it, and they put me a car together to finish out those last races. And Dalton and Ben that did all them races with those guys, and they have regular jobs. So and all the people that helped pitch in the Cyril Cassius pitch in a trailer, and the Wagabins had a mule and an engine heater. I was like, it is just crazy to see the amount of people and I think that's the way the racing community is. But it's crazy how none of them knew me or owed me anything, and they really stuck their neck out. So I really feel grateful for that, and now I can get past that survival stage. It's really the best way to describe it is it's survival, and I don't feel like I have to live in that mode anymore. We can go back to being established with a great crew chief and a coroner that is wanting results, but yet he hires a crew chief and a team manager to do what they want to do and put the pieces in place. So I'm pretty damn excited about what's going forward. And in fact, this has just landed in the last little bit, and my phone has got me pretty excited in my pocket here. It just keeps vibrating and vibrating and vibrating. So looking forward to it.
I wasn't thinking about this, but since you threw it out there, you get to work with an established crew chief that knows how to tune motors. This guy can build race cars if he needs to. He understands them literally from the front bumper to the rear bumper to the top wing to the tires. And how cool is it to get to work literally with Barry Jackson?
Uh, Look, we all have a strong point. There you have to look at every situation that's out there and kind of analyze. Someone will go, hey, go here, their motors are good, or go here, they have these cars, or their cars always. There's a niche to everything, and I can tell you that the relationship between Chad Clements and Barry Jackson is very similar to how I've been in my entire career. It's 16 years. It's 16 years. So the faith that Chad has in Barry, he doesn't question him. He's not out looking for the better person or the better this. Barry manages everything. Chad pays the bills, and Barry manages everything. And that's the kind of people you want to be around. That's what I grew up around. That's what I've always admired Barry. I've been around Barry a lot, and Barry's a very feisty person. I've seen him get upset with drivers and crew officials, and that's passion. That's what you want. And I'm the kind of person that I need someone to push me, and I need someone that I can push. Me and Rick were that way. You know what I mean? I pushed Rick. I didn't. Me and Scuba were that way. Kenny Woodruff was that way. So I kind of feel like this is a reuniting of kind of a modern day Kenny Woodruff, to be honest with you. And that's really where I learned to cut my teeth and how I learned how to race. So I, I'm I'm super stoked about working with Barry, and just the few conversations we've had about how this is going to work. We're talking about little things and components. You know, he's asked me, "Is there any components that you don't believe are worth a damn, or you want this?" Well, of course, there's things that I think are what I've used in the past, but what I've experienced in the last 3 months of the season with the different cars, and I've ran almost everything there was under the sun for different motors and cars and shocks and this and that. So, and obviously they'll all do the same thing. It's just how you work on it. So it's kind of opened my mind a little bit to that. So, like, no, you guys have a platform. You got a platform that's solid. We're gonna go in there, and obviously we're gonna work at it. And if we feel like something's not quite um in tune to the way we want, we're gonna maybe make a change. I don't know if that would be this or that. I can tell you that some of the people that I have worked with in the past, 20 years, 25 years, have know that I believe in their products, and they're reaching out saying, "Hey, we'd like to get you on our wheels, or we'd like to do this, or get that." And that's how this business works. It's literally how it works. And since this is a situation where it's basically kind of like starting a second team. Well, it basically is starting a second team.
Yeah.
Um, that's obviously what we're doing. So, but they already have an established situation, and you don't want to have a bunch of different things, a bunch of different moving parts. So, I know Barry will make the right decision, and it's funny. I know for a fact that Barry's probably been putting in 20 hours a day in the last couple days, knowing that this was happening, just to try to get things in place. And we're not even to that point where we can, build all these things the way we want yet. So it's pretty awesome. It's got me at a pretty excited level. If the negative to this is I'm nowhere near it. I wish I could help. But then again, even if I was there, I don't know if I could help, because all I am good is good at chewing ass. So, and I don't know, nobody needs that at this point.
Well, and that's something that I kind of, we've talked about this in the past just a little bit, but I just kind of wanted to expand a little bit on it. When you're away from the racetrack, Don, you have other things you're tending to also. You're not, but those are things that you're building for in the future. Talk a little bit about the importance of getting home, getting about, and taking care of those things, and also probably the fact that most people might not realize is your race car income is your salary. That's what you're living off of every year. And sometimes that might be a misconception there. So maybe talk a little bit about that.
That's one thing that there's always been this judge a book by its cover factor, right? Um, and I can tell you that Chad Clemens and my relationship start 20 years ago was literally that way. Um, because we were a factor to be dealt with on the racetrack and winning races, they thought we were, a little bit like, oh, we can't talk to them, they won't know us. And then we find ourselves one night at the same restaurant, having a good time, and we sit down and have a drink and talk and chat, and all of a sudden we go from the books judged this way to being X, to all of a sudden it took one conversation and like, oh, he's not such an asshole, or he's not, not this. And that's the way it works. Obviously, the reason I'm sitting here today is because my father had the ability to afford to have me a race team. Without that, I wouldn't be sitting here today. His business and the way his work ethic, the things that he did, I was able to have my own race team for a long time, right up until 2006 when we won our first championship. And then in 2007, we transitioned to Tony Stewart and was able to get away from the ownership side of it. Had that not happened, there's no way I'd be sitting here today. I wouldn't be a race car driver's a living. He had business stuff, but he wanted to be at the races. So the racing side of it's been part of our life for a long time. Me, um, there was a point when my father said, you know, you might want to look at something different. And I got real mad at him. I said, what do you mean? He's like, well, things aren't really going all that well. This is my team. I'm funding it. And you make enough to make ends meet? Do you make enough to have a home and keep the electricity on and all these things? And I just kind of looked at him like, what are you talking about? Like it wasn't realistic. So, but it was an eye opener. And so I wanted to make my living as a race car driver. And virtually it wasn't making ends meet, or it didn't make any sense. It was an X. So he said, well, maybe you need to get into something different. And I think that's when things started to kind of open my eyes to like, hey, if you're going to do this, you have to win races. You got to run top three. You got to win championships. You got to be able to sell sponsorships. You got to have partners. You got all those things in it. And it was, um, I think it's what propelled me and got me the mental side of myself going in the right direction. And that was 100% him pushing me and doing things the right. And obviously it was tough love. He was telling me I wasn't good enough with what I was doing. I was going to have to find a way to do that. And so we started finding a way. We started putting the right people in place. We started to have some success. We started winning races. In '06, we were able to win a championship. In '07, and we started winning big races. We started making this work. And that's kind of when my path it went down that path. Um, and never turned back. So people have
Can
this
I just jump in
misconception.
and I wanted to ask you a
Yeah.
quick question. You said that did that require a lifestyle change for you too, Don, when you went that? Did you have to make some changes yourself?
Listen, I've always had I wanted to have a house. I wanted to have a wife. I wanted to have kids. I wanted to have dogs, all the things that normal people want to have. But the reality is them are things that probably you shouldn't really be into when you're wanting to race on the road, 85 races across the country. So, uh, you know, uh, my father always used aviation to get back and forth to the races, and he always told me you should, learn how to be. He told me a lot of things I didn't listen to. I can tell you that today. But back to, you know, when things started to go well, I mean, you're taking a little money, so this is how I'm paid. This is how I was able to build my house. I mean, how to keep my vehicles, all the things I did. So I I I I went down that path. I wasn't going to go down the path of his business or being a part of it. And after a couple years of that, things that had been well, he just then he came back at me with what are you going to do if you get hurt? And I said, I'm not going to get hurt. He said, you might want to think about that. And listen, anything he told me, it took me literally years to digest and before I would listen to him. I think that's a typical father-son relationship. And him and I got in business together and started a car wash. And I was, borrowing money from the bank to start this car wash. So I had something in case I got hurt. And then he was doing some property stuff where he was buying property for down the road future development. And he started pushing me towards that, and I didn't listen for several years, and then I missed out on a lot of great deals, and then I started to do those things. And but in reality, what I was trying to get to is people have this misconception that I don't need to race. I don't do it for the money. You know, because of my father had a business or all these things, and at the end of the day, that's the only thing I've ever drawn an income from. Yeah, him and I got into business together. I've never drawn an income from it. Whatever I didn't draw from it was allowed it to pay itself back quicker. And I don't draw from the fast lane car wash that we have and the property stuff that we've built and all these things. So I literally live off the racing. So when things are good, things are good. And when you're not racing so good and there's no results, well, guess what? I'm trying, I'm not, believe me, I've had a great career. I've made a lot of money racing, but that's literally what I've done. So like I said, the misconception is that's what I do. That's where my income comes from. There'll probably come a day when I'm not racing anymore and that will change. And I don't live like a, I don't live like a king or nothing. I have 3 great dogs that I keep them fed, and, I don't feed them the cheapest food on the planet, and, I like to have nice things and, nice boots and, whatever, but, that's just life here, and I still attend to all the other things. I enjoy being home, and yes, I do, use aviation, which it's aviation's been part of our businesses, having them on opposite end of the state, and racing's been one of our businesses with the merchandising and all this stuff. So it all works hand in hand together with tax deductions and all these things. So it's literally a business model that one works as a whole. So been very fortunate there, but just wanted to clear up the misconception that people look at me and say he doesn't need to race. You know, I can tell you, like this year's been probably one of the worst income years that I've had since 1997. It is what it is. It's not been grand that way, but I'm not complaining. That's the way it's good. There's been years that have been absolutely incredible. We've had some pretty magical years, and the one person in this entire industry that seems to make out financially are the drivers. Car owners don't, the crew
Yep.
people don't, but the drivers do. So I've been very fortunate on that side of it, and um, it's just wanted to let you know that.
We talked about the importance of Dave Lunstra along with Todd Quiring with the initial termination of your job with TSR. And I think from what I got to be around you a lot and the importance of your fans, of you making those 7 races that were in our backyard. I live just an hour and a half south of Don. In our backyard, they were very important for you. I mean, it was almost like mind-boggling how important it was for you to show up and race no less those 7 races. And let's just dig into that a little bit about what your emotion was and the relief of being able to get to those shows.
So uh, it hit me. It was like going home. You know what I mean? These are the people that supported me from day one. Um, there's been fans I can still remember from going to Jackson the first several times I went there. I remember a guy that worked at Kraft Foods down the road named Rich Niedecker. He became a huge fan. He used to get along with Dick Bellerud so well, and you thought he was a truck driver when he come to the races with his trucker hat and his boots and that. But and this guy's been gone a long time. But you come across people that you never forget and that are there from the word go, but they're always there every night coming saying, "Oh, great job." And, these people couldn't afford to drive an hour here or 3 hours there, but they were coming to support you. And I have uh, had that for since I started. So there was something about knowing coming home, like, it's like, am I not going to be racing in front of the hometown crowd? Like I talk about what could be worse than that. And the people, and it's not just about driving a car. Okay. It's not just about driving a car because we could go out in some farmer's field and I could take somebody's car and go out there. What's it mean? Oh, I'm just having so much fun going in a circle out here by myself. But the fan aspect's what makes it what it is. You're racing with someone and they get entertainment on it and they enjoy it and they cheer you on or they boo you, whatever it might be. That's the part that I guess fuels you. It's what makes you go around, like, whether it's the bad emotions that sometimes you get or it's the good emotions where you get a lot. And I can tell you one thing about the last 3 months of the season, the amount of people that came down and the things that was said, the support I got, the messages I got, it's I was at one point I was like, I didn't even realize that we had such a massive fan base, and you're always going to get people that don't like you. But I've always looked at things like you can't have Jekyll without Hyde. You can't have good without bad. So you can't have someone that likes you without registering them to someone that doesn't like you. So it's just common nature. So it's been super eye opening. It's been super great. The only thing that has come around is and it's been kind of a staple of the year. There's been like a division of fans. Like you don't, because of me or because of Tony, we don't have to have this hate him or hate me. Like, and we got that. And I think it's just in the nature of some of the things that have happened this year. We had to deal with David and Kyle, and the fans were split, fighting each other. I think we've had that for some reason. I think a lot of those things fueled that. And man, we're all here for the same thing. you don't have to like someone, but we don't have to be throwing rocks at someone, or it's that's not necessary. I think that does more harm than good, but maybe it has nothing to do with racing. Maybe it just has something to do with society today. I think there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of division, whatever. But we try to be part of the solution and not part of the problem.
No, that's 100% true there. I could echo those words right back at you. You've talked so much about your dad over the years, but I think I would like to hear the importance of your mother, Diane Schatz. She has been the backbone to an extent of your career when it comes to the not just the merchandising, but also she's your mom. Um, Tell us a little bit about Diane and the passion that she has and the relationship that you two have.
So when you come from this family, the person who guided my path, the person that kept me in my tracks, the person that kicked me in the ass, the person that, had my back, was my dad. Everything, everything, the late nights and the coming home, when I was not, I would say something and he'd straighten me right out. I had it wrong. And, you know, you look back on a lot of things now and he literally had almost everything right. And it doesn't matter what it was in business and all these things. So I was pretty fortunate that way. And obviously he's not with us anymore. So I don't have that person that helps steer you when the ship's astray or this or that. And believe me, it's easy to get sideways in this lifestyle of racing and fast paced life, and some of the things that I've put myself through that were really unnecessary, and struggles in racing. I mean, emotions kind of drive everything, and um, you know, my mom's never been one that there's not very, let me just put it this way. There's very few people that aren't scared of me to say exactly what I need to hear. And my dad was one that it didn't matter to him. He was going to tell me it like it was, whether I needed to hear it that way or not. And that them are the things that need to happen. And a lot of times it's things you don't want to hear. It's tough love. It's things that hard to hear, but it's what you need to hear and not sugarcoat it. And my mom's not one that could ever do that. I've had one person that I've had those tough conversations with since, and ultimately respect him more than anybody could ever imagine since. But my mom is literally been the backbone of that relationship forever. She's part of this as much as I am. I mean, in her mid 70s, she enjoys the racing as much as I do. She hasn't enjoyed the struggles, but I don't know anybody that looks forward or enjoys struggles. But she's tried to be the cheerleader. She's tried to keep everything together. She's enjoyed my fans and keeping the Donny Schatz brand alive with the things she's done, and she's done a absolutely incredible job. I ask her all the time, like, why do you want to keep, and like it's what she knows. It's like me. It's what I know. I mean, yeah, we have other things. We could probably get away from this and go enjoy life, and she could go and stay in Arizona or go here or go try do all that, but them things aren't what resonate to my family or to me and her. It's the racing, it's the people we've met, it's the competition, it's the legacy that we've tried to build. And so you just enjoy those things. And even with the twins trying to race and doing the things they're doing, it's still about going to a World of Outlaw sprint car race and seeing the fans. And she's kept that business model alive and the brand alive, even when I felt like I was kind of tanking it and not doing my part. So she's as much a part of this as anything. And I owe her everything. And sometimes I wish she was just a little tougher about, telling me right and wrong, because believe you me, um, in my position, it's hard to get someone that will tell you the things that are hard to hear or tell it to you like it is, because it, I mean, I don't know how to describe it, but I can tell you there's not very many people that'll come out and just say things like they are because they're afraid they're going to hurt your feelings. And unfortunately, that's just the way it needs to happen.
Yeah, and your mom is, and I think she's embraced the role that she has right now. I know that she's very passionate about the merchandise. Just to see her in action, the ideas, the way they pop into her head, and it's just never ending. And the other thing I noticed, Don, is she has her own group of fans at the racetrack.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. The people that she meets and acquires, she a lot of them she'll see and she'll talk about. Sometimes I'll get people come up to me at the track and they'll say, can't really stand you, but man, we love your mom. And you respect that. It is what it is. I don't try to get people to like me. If you like me, great. If you don't like me, great. I'm not gonna go do something to try to just make you like me. That's just not me. I'm a kind of a straightforward guy. I'm gonna be the person I am, and you can accept that and like it. And if you don't, well, I guess there'll be someone else that you accept and like. And I'm not a politician. I'm not standing here going, "Here, vote for me, vote for Pedro," you know?
Yeah, yeah. You brought up the twins there just real quick, and just a quick comment there, but you're just fresh off of your trip out to St. Louis at the Dome with the girls taking the late models out there. And I just want to know, how do you separate? Because now you and I don't know who else is are basically car owners. You've got two cars, and is it hard to separate what the girls are doing, because a lot of times they're so involved with what you're doing, to when you get ready to go race yourself as a professional race car driver?
No, it's not hard to separate mentally because I have great people. I have Zach Axon here. I have Dawson Hydretter here. These two guys take care of that stuff and they take them racing. Dawson's specialty is the sprint car stuff, and Zach's stuff is specialty is the late models. I have two great guys. And obviously those girls are required to be part of the decision making process and how things work, just as my father wanted and how I was. The hardest part to decipher is the financial side because we get all the bills, whatever. That's
Yeah.
just part of it. It's when you're getting your start, and it's but they do a great job of working with people. People like them. They're likable girls. It's not hard land because it's like when I told you when I leave here to go racing, that's what I do. That's my life. That's what pays the bills. That's what allows me to be me. That's what allows me to live. That's what allows me to fix things, when the furnace goes out. So I know what the important part is. So I have no problem switching off that to go do what it is I do. And it's not the money side of it. It's what I set out to do 30 years ago. And that's what I still to today, 30 years ago. So I've learned how to do that. I feel like I've learned how to do it uh, fairly well. There's days where I don't even when the races are going on, I don't keep up with what they're doing with what's racing, and it's probably bad of me to say that, but when I go to the races, I have a job to do. I have expectations for myself. I have expectations for the people that are spending money for me to do this, the partners and the car. So that's ultimately my focus, and you got to get the best result you can that night. And if the best result is a 12th, well, you're going to have to try to do better tomorrow because 12th doesn't really pay a whole lot. So I think we try to navigate that as well. And then obviously when I get home and there's a bill for a brand new rocket on the desk or a bill for a brand new Longhorn on the desk or whatever it is, um, you try to navigate that in another manner. That's what takes the hard part of the week up.
You got to spend 3 days, all 3 days at the Dome with the girls, and getting to be able to spend the whole weekend with them. You don't get to do a lot of racing with them because of the way your schedule conflicts with theirs. Was it fun to be able to hang out with them, and some of the some of the late model people too in the world, and just and help them out any way you can?
Look, we had, like I told you, we got two great guys taking care of the cars on both sides of the genres of racing that we're involved in. But we also the one thing about this sport is we come across great people. I mean, really great people. And it seems like in the late model world, a lot of people love those girls. They like those girls. Boom Griggs, Chris Simpson were two guys that came to the Dome to help. Chris raced, Boom didn't. Um, I don't listen. I got a late model to have a little fun, and we learned a little bit here and there, but I never could figure it out. I needed those guys to come and help me, but no one's gonna help me because I'm not a young girl or whatever. I'm not as likable as those two girls are. So I enjoyed it from look, my daughter's there. I got to hang out with my one granddaughter Eloise and her mother, and it was a great weekend. 3 days in a row in the same place with them. Savannah's pregnant, got another one on the way, so I'm going to be grandpa number two. That really was a highlight of my weekend, doing that and being able to watch the girls. Yeah, I got around them and but I can't drive or coach them in the late models. In the sprint cars, yeah, I can drive or coach them. I might be able to help them with the cars a little bit, but it was great to have, Boom Briggs owes us nothing to come and help, and he came out there to help them try to, driver coach, maybe get the cars a little better. Same thing with Chris Simpson, and one was helping each one. So it was kind of surreal to have that. And a lot of those guys, Nick Hoffman has helped out a ton with them. There's so many people that have. They're just likable kids, and that's the way the late model pit area is. There's so many people that go out of their way to try to help them and try to fast track their career and get them the knowledge they need. So that was really cool to be a part of it. It was almost sad to see it come to an end, but that's just the way racing is. It's like going to the nationals every year. The Sunday morning hangover of the nationals, you got to wait till the following year to go. So the dome was literally the same way for me.
The Dome is a crazy and I think very successful event. But tell me if I'm wrong, because from what I hear from some people that were out there, a lot of open wheel drivers, crew members, and fans even at the Dome.
Absolutely, there was a lot of people there. You run across a lot of people. I mean, when you sit and look at it, I think what they said there was between 35 and 38,000 people there on Saturday night. That's the biggest dirt race on the planet. I don't there's you can't put 35,000 people in Knoxville. You can't put 35,000 people in Eldora. You can't put 35,000 people in Texas Motor Speedway or Charlotte. There's no venue big enough for that. So to me, it's got to be the biggest event in all of dirt track racing, and it's crazy to see how it's built. I've gone there, I think, the last 5 or 6 years and I watched it the first year, but I remember how I ended up there was me and Brandon Shepard were enjoying a beer one night after Volusia when we were late model racing, and I just told him, "Hey, I'd really like to go to that race, but I don't want to. I need to find a driver. I don't want to drive it. I don't think it's really fits my style." And he said, "Well, I'll drive your car." And I was like, "You kidding me? If I could take Brandon Shepard there, I'll go in a heartbeat." So we went. We ran second. He almost won the race. He was door to door with Tyler Carpenter at the checkered. So, man, it's super cool. He drove my car the couple years, and then and after that, we brought Amelia back. So it was pretty neat to be a part of. And yeah, it's a crazy event. It's now there's all these questions. Will sprint cars work there? I don't know, and I think you got a good thing like that. You just leave it alone and let it go.
That's something I agree with too, and I've saw the banter too. It's a great late model, and I think they just leave it alone. The two classes they have, perfect. I've been sitting here thinking, we've talked a little bit about your parents, and today's announcement, you getting to go drive the CJB 15 car for Chad and Barry. Right now, Donny Schatz is sitting up in heaven, looking down at you, and what is he thinking right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I've had so many people ask me this fall, what would your dad think? Man, we'll never know. I know what my dad thought for some period of time. There was I think I told you many times here. Uh, it took me a long time to listen to my father. I didn't always listen to him right off the word go, but there's been a couple times in the last couple years. Well, he's been gone almost 3 years, but there was a time period, and I think he told me, he said, "I think it's time, not to get away, but it's time to do something different." And um, I can't say I agreed with him. I obviously didn't agree with him because I didn't do it. So look, I don't know that there's a right answer for that. I don't know that there's a wrong answer for that. I just know that he kind of taught me you gotta make a decision and live with it, right or wrong. And if it's the wrong decision, you gotta learn from it. And I guess even sitting here today, I don't know that I made the wrong decision, but um, I don't know what he's thinking. I think he's probably pretty happy that there's change coming. That I'm going to get the opportunity to race with a Barry Jackson, and he knew Barry, and he knew Chad, and he knew all the people that helped me get to the end of this season. He didn't know Sam and Nicole, but I can guarantee you he'd have liked Sam. So he knew all those people, and I think that had a lot to do with why they did the things they did to help me get there. It's kind of we'll leave that door open. I guess maybe someday when I get there, if I get there, he'll probably tell me what was right or wrong, or we'll find out. But he's probably up there arguing with Ted Johnson right now about a few things, and Larry Hillerud, and a few others about a few things there. I'm sure they're arguing about racing, but my mom said she still pays his Dirt Vision subscription, so he still gets to watch the races anyway.
That's great, and that's very kind of her. Don, you're not running for rookie of the year anymore anywhere you go. But you've told me you feel like you've got a couple good years left in you. And honestly, what what do you think will be the indicator that maybe it's time to go on? And I'm not telling you that it's time to go on by any means, but you're getting there. You say, one more year for sure. This is 30, but what mindset is that for you?
Well, that mindset has kind of had some whirlwind here the last, I don't even know, month or whatever, two, three. I listen. I didn't never want to, not a quitter. Never wanted to quit by any means. But when I got to the banquet and it was about my turn to get up there and sit with Johnny and talk about sixth place, and I actually was sitting at the table and it crossed my mind. I'm like, this poor Johnny Gibson, like, what's he gonna talk to me about that's a highlight from this year? Like, I'm and I'm and I was gonna text him, and I thought, oh, that's kind of not cool. He's sitting up on stage. He's not gonna answer his phone. So when we got up there, and I was sitting next to, I think it was Ryan Gustin, I was sitting next to, and he got to talk first. So I leaned over to Johnny and I said, "Man, I feel sorry for you. Like, what are you gonna talk to me about?" And he's like, "Oh, I got it next. This is your 30th season coming up." I said, "No, it's not. It'll be 29." And he goes, "No, it's 30. It's 30. Me and you started at the same time. It's 30." And I'm like, I didn't even know what year. I mean, literally, it's easy to do 28, 29. What the hell's the difference, honestly, at this point? Um, so it kind of it changed my whole, what I was going to say, what I was thinking. And in all reality, I've had communication with a lot of different people over the years, and right when all this stuff happened, someone I talked to always had communication with, and been a competitor of them is Todd Queering, and I had a conversation with him, and he said, you need to do something that you can do a couple years and finish and go out the way you want, and I kind of and he said it 2 years, and I was like, I'm only 48, bro. I'm not in my 60s here. I'm not going to go to Steve's age. Because I'm not Steve Kinzer. Um, but I kind of got a little bit, I wouldn't say offended, but I was a little bit butthurt. And I thought, 2 years, huh? That's how, and then I let it digest, right? Just like when my dad would tell me something, I would never listen. It didn't digest until I stood back a second and I said, I guess where I'm standing right now, that's probably a pretty good plan. Um, but in all reality, I don't know if that's the plan or that's the not, because I can tell you if I'm competitive and I'm still driven, like right now, I feel like I'm as driven as I've been in a long time. And if I go out here and we do a year or two and it's great, I'm not going to go away, but I don't want to ride the train till the end of the horse. Um, but then again, you have to look at things like, I'm shocked Brad Sweet just stepped away from full-time competition. However, I think it was detrimental to Brad's success of making the high limit go, because it's really hard to be a competitor on the series racing for a championship and you're also part owner. I think it's something that was probably the smart business move for him. And I respect Brad I wish he was still racing. It's that level of competition that has made the Outlaws what it is, made them what they are. So I'm shocked to see someone go out at such a high level, honestly. But Brad's also been one that I admire, and I texted him and told him, I said, I ultimately respect that you have come and built yourself to this. And he did it without turning his personal life upside down and becoming a different person like I did. All these things. I ultimately respect that. And so, when is that time? I don't know what the telltale signs are going to be right now. My focus is it's 30 years for me. It might not sound like a lot. It might sound like it's just a number, but 30 years is 30, like I can't even some days I go, what was I thinking? I mean, I thought about doing this for a few years, and next thing you know, here you are, it's like 30. And you had your worst year at 29. I'm not going to have my worst year at 30. That I can assure you. It's going to be awesome. So I don't know. I know that I want to go a couple, but I think in at the end of the day, you have to look at it as I took Todd's advice and I'm looking at it as 2 years. But when I get to next year this time, I guarantee I'm going to still be looking at the 2 year mark. But I had never honestly looked at that timeline until that happened. So maybe shame on me for not doing that. I don't think you have to be, you know, this isn't F1, this isn't NASCAR or IndyCar. Like these are dirt cars, and there's a lot of guys that are way past my age and ability still doing this, and it ultimately all came here for fun. So um, I honestly don't know how to answer it. I can tell you I got it a good 2 plus, maybe 2 plus 2. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Another thing, the racing season is really cranking up right now in Australia. And do you ever would you like to get back there for one more year? Because one thing that I heard you say in the last week or two, I can't remember who you were visiting with, but I heard it, is how important it is for you to be able to be at home for Christmas and the holidays, something that you didn't get to experience for a very long time when you were really locked in on the professional side of racing sprint cars.
Yeah. So when I started in 1998, my first trip to Australia, um, Colin Migro and Gavin Migro brought me over to Claremont Speedway for Western Australia Speed Week, which was 2 weekends, 4 races, Claremont Bunbury. And it was to me to just to get to Australia was huge. But I remember riding the plane with Brent Anthill, and he was talking about all World Series. I didn't even know what World Series was. I just wanted to get there. And so their biggest race day of the year, kind of like our July 4th, is Boxing Day, December 26th. Well, it's physically impossible to be in the United States on Christmas Day and then get on a plane and be there for Boxing Day. And then this was explained to me when that first happened. I'm like, oh, I'm going to be gone for Christmas. Like when you want to be a professional race car driver and you want to go race, that doesn't matter. You're going to go. But as you get older and you start to appreciate your family and being home, that's something that becomes more important. So I started going there in 98 and it never stopped. It was 98, 99, 2000, 2001. I was there every year until COVID. COVID's the only thing that stopped it. So I just made it the staple in my life, being there for Christmas. And believe you me, they were my family on Christmas. Those people, every person I ever was with, the Montes, Gary Rush, the Kellys, every one of them made me feel like they were family. So I never felt like I wasn't, but it wasn't my immediate family. And, back when you look backwards, your grandparents were alive and all these people, there was 100 people that were alive that aren't today. So it just became the norm. You knew it was common. And then COVID happens, and there was no way I was going to get to Australia to race because they just weren't letting people in the country. So it kind of stopped it. So then I get to experience Christmas. I get to experience Christmas with my family for the first time on Christmas Day, and there was just something about it. It was, I mean, I didn't have a Christmas tree back then. I mean, we got one, but it wasn't like a big thing to me. And then once you experience just the whole atmosphere on Christmas Day, nothing's open. everybody, giving presents, cooking food, just you're forced to enjoy each other. Like there's no other day like it for me that you got to experience this. You're forced to enjoy each other. And I don't know, it's just it's grown like wildfire on now to me. I enjoy the whole month of it, but and I now I don't know that I could give that up. Like I just, obviously my father's gone, and yeah, my mom's still here, and I got nieces and nephews, and I'm a grandpa, and I want to make sure I'm the best person I can be for all of them on Christmas, just like my father was, and I want to be able to experience that. So it means a lot to me, but it did take away from my ability to be here. I didn't know what it was like until 20 plus years later. Here you are experiencing it, and maybe I'm over exaggerating it, but it's something that just means so much to me. And whether I'm here by myself, I'm waking up in my own bed Christmas morning, and the just the atmosphere of it, and I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's something that I thoroughly enjoy. And you don't know, tomorrow's not given to anyone, so just enjoy the things you can. So I truly try to enjoy the month of Christmas. And there's a lot of nights, Lane, I'll sit right here on this couch and just watch TV with the lights out and just stare at that Christmas tree because I can. It's a reset. It keeps me open minded. And yes, I did decorate the wreath and all this stuff. So I have the spirit, and I do it all Christmas or on Thanksgiving Day. That's my day to get all my stuff out. I'm probably good thing you don't have a video here watching that. You'd probably be pissing yourself laughing like, does this guy drive race cars? You'd think he did shows for Pampered Chef or something.
Yeah. Well, I do have to give you big kudos because the your background for this show is by far the best that I've seen of the ones we've had so far. And you're telling us you did all that yourself, though, really?
Well, I did. I hang the wreath and I got the garlands, but my sister comes and helps me do the tree. I put the lights on, and then she hangs the stuff. I don't know, something about hanging them. I don't know where to put them or whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's so if I turn the lights out, it looks pretty cool. But you can't see I got my reindeer over here that light up, and my bulbs. Yeah, I'm kind of and I got Christmas lights permanent on the house now, so it's pretty
Exterior
cool. You can probably
illumination
see them.
is
You can
there
probably
too
see them
then?
there in the background. You can see them in the
Yep.
back through the window.
Yep.
So yeah, and I enjoy my Christmas time, and
Um
I enjoy gift giving. Actually, I do this deal where I buy all the kids stuff. I say, you guys don't buy me nothing. You can't. And normally I win Christmas, and it's hard to beat my Christmas gifts. And I'm pretty sure this year I'm going to win again.
that's awesome to have the Christmas spirit. You said, and we're going to pretty much wrap it up on this, but you said you live alone, and I'm going to argue it just a little bit because you've got a little trio of guys that run around there with you, and they're like your own kids that you never had. Your three dogs, and we've talked a little bit
Yeah,
about in the past, but you know, and if you don't follow Donny Schatz on Snapchat, you need to because uh, your little jet
yeah.
dog the other night was just awesome howling. I don't know how you'd pull that off, but th- tell us just a little bit about your dogs and how much they really mean to you.
We got a
There,
sleeper.
yeah,
We got
that's
a sleeper.
that's, yeah,
The other one's on the other side of the couch, so I can't vouch for her. But dogs is something that's we always wanted them as kids, and my parents were always working. We didn't know anything about keeping pets, so it just didn't end up working out. Someone else ended up with them. We didn't know how to potty train them. We didn't know how to do anything. You just thought you bought a good dog, and it went out when they had to go potty, but it didn't know how to open. Long story short, so you get out on your own, and it's just something you feel like you got to conquer because you couldn't do it as a kid. And I think both my siblings, we all did it. And me and my youngest sister, we still both have a bunch of dogs, but Deanne doesn't. She just had a bunch of kids. So I can tell you that having a dog is something that's always been great, and especially in my racing career. There's nights when you'd walk through the door and you got home, and you were dejected, and things were you had a DNF or you were terrible or whatever, and you wear those things in your mind on until you learn how to control your emotions. And I come home, and that dog was so damn happy to see you. You forgot about how bad things were. But then again, you came home and you had a trophy and things were good and you had a good payday. And those dogs were so damn happy to see. It didn't matter. It just kind of keeps you grounded as to it doesn't matter how things go. They're always they don't know what happened. It's they so I've always enjoyed having my dogs and obviously, they're probably one of the hardest things in the world to deal with is having them go on, and I've had three of them go on. I've had a couple made it 17 and 18 years, and I lost Suki this year, the husky, and I got three that, three young ones, 5, 4, and 4. So I got a pretty big fleet, but they do some funny things. So I try to put it on Snapchat and maybe every once in a while a little bit on social media. But anyway, yeah, they keep me grounded and busy, and they make sure I keep the pet store in business with the dog food. So
Yeah. Last thing before we go, Don. Your what's the word I'm looking for here? Your personality, the way you've come off the last couple days since we've been working on a deal. I truly believe that you are rejuvenated and you're ready to go out and get racing again. And how important is for you to have that excitement going back to the racetrack?
well, I don't feel like I have as a driver ever not given the effort forth. I've probably made some not right decisions on the racetrack or not pushed as hard as maybe needed to at times, but I've always tried to race as if I owned it and was not going to put it in jeopardy at the right time because you got to obviously not tear everything up every night and you got to finish before you can win championships. And obviously, the frame of mind I to finish the last couple months wasn't the best, but I don't feel like I lacked in anything that I did prior to that, So um, I can tell you that now that everything's like settled down and the dust is settled and the goals were set and the goals were met, it's kind of like clear your mind and working with people. I can tell you this. Barry Jackson wants to go racing with me. Barry Jackson wants to win races with me. I guarantee if Barry Jackson had to go get out of bed right now and go do something to make sure if it helped us to be better, he would do it. So those sort of things are pretty motivational to for me. I've always kept tried to keep my physical fitness up at the gym, and I work with a trainer 3 days a week, and all these things. So I've not let myself slip. I mean, obviously, I slipped here after happened to feel like I was in survival mode. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty motivated, and I think it's something that's probably been lacking. And I think probably the biggest thing is communication. When there's no communication amongst the top down all the way to the people. I've been at the races every day for how many years, so I'm there. But sometimes the people that aren't there think they know what's going on and they don't. And I guess there's people look at you and think that they look down on you. And I'm not I don't I'm not going to have someone look down on me. I don't know anybody that's active in today's environment in racing that has the stats and the resume that I've been able to accomplish in my career. So I'm not going to get looked down on. I'm going to continue to build on that. And believe me, there hasn't been a whole lot of stats added to that in the last couple years. So, um, yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty motivated. Uh, I guess I've always been motivated, but the excitement for me right now to race with a group of people that are super excited about racing with me is kind of a telltale sign, and that's why I know the fit is going to be great for all of us. And I learn from other people too. I know as a driver, you also have to be you have to be a team leader and you got to be a motivator, but you can't. You get to the point where you can't preach to the choir. If you try to preach and they don't want to listen, well, they're going to believe their own path and their own sermon. So I know that there's going to come times where me as a driver, I'm going to do things wrong and I'm going to get put in my place. And there's times when I'm going to do things right. And but as long as that communication line is kept open and it's there and everybody keeps on the forefront of things, I'm going to be in a miraculous situation. So I'm looking forward to getting to the first race and hopefully the first trip home from Florida, we can come home with a gator because I haven't been able to get one of them in a little bit.
Yeah, be nice to add to the gator collection too. So Don, I can't believe how fast an hour burns up here, but thanks again for coming on. It's fun to get the reaction from you after the announcement and to also be able to just sit back and casually shoot the breeze a little bit about how life's been for you in the last couple years and some immediate moments and things like that. And just appreciate you taking the time to open up with us about that stuff.
I appreciate it, Lan. I appreciate you. You never miss a beat with helping me, and I don't know that there's ever a way to repay you other than coming on your show.
That'll work, man. We'll call it good. So, all right. So, everybody, that's Donny Schatz, and he's obviously getting ready for Christmas, and he's got for a Christmas present he got from Chad Clements and Barry Jackson was a bright shiny 15 car to drive for the 2026 season. So, thanks again, Don.
Thank you.
All right, so that was some great informative stuff from Donnie, and I think it was just great of him to open up and tell us a little bit about his personal life and how things look for him on a normal day-to-day basis. Also, to talk a little bit about the big announcement of CJB Motorsports, Chad Clements and Barry Jackson teaming up with Don to chase that 2026 Outlaw Trail. So interesting day, lots of good stuff. And once again, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you would do me that favor, I'll always take those likes, those shares, and those subscribes. Definitely helps me out and helps me get more content to you guys too. With that, I hope you're having a great holiday season. We'll see you right back here next time. Thanks, everyone.